What's the best wireless charger or bulk inkjet printers problematic? G Suite tips and tricks, Nokia's 3310, the perfect beater phone, and more. All coming up on TekThing. This episode of TekThing is brought to you by Opsgenie. Your next incident doesn't stand a chance. And a big thank you to our patrons, especially Don B, John Y, Robert M, and Joe G. Join the crew that makes TekThing possible at patreon.com/TekThing. Thank you.
I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patty Norton.
And this is TekThing, where we have something useful in every single show.
And occasionally something incredibly silly.
That's true.
Right now, though, we're talking about wireless charging and how Shannon fried her cat at home.
I did not.
I know, but I wanted to watch
Don't
your
tell
facial
them lies.
We were at a press event, and the whole wireless 120-volt charging through space
that was a thing.
Was back.
Yeah.
Which we haven't seen since CES. Several thousand. Well, it was
funny.
If there's like dog years,
like
where like one people year is 7 dog years. I think there's like in tech years, like one normal human year is like 1,000 years in technology. At least it feels that way.
Sometimes there are things that we see at these press events that you never see on the show, and most of the time it's just because we go, oh, okay.
Or you do see on the show, and then you never hear about them again because they never ship, and then 5 years later they show up at another event.
Exactly.
More to come when there's actually a product.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Jim writes in, good day to the finest pair of tech reviewers around. Thank you. I recently bought my first smartwatch, a used second-gen Fossil Q Marshall. I am very happy with everything it does and enjoying the convenience it provides at work. The watch charges via a magnetically connected Qi charging cord. While this works, it works slowly, taking nearly 3 hours to fully charge from 50% to 100%. I briefly placed my watch on my Samsung Qi charging puck that I use every night with my Note 5. Not only did it start charging the watch, but it was charging faster. Is this dangerous for the watch? Can I use any Qi charger for my watch? Thanks for all the work you do to make your show. I enjoy it and look forward to every week's episode showing me the next thing I'll want. Jim in Northeast Pennsylvania. P.S. This is what the alphabet would look like without Q and R. P.S. I use mostly older tech that I buy used because money and stuff. Please do an episode of your favorite older tech. I would love to know what models of tablets, phones, laptops, and the like that are 2 or 3 years old you would still consider to be worth it. Oh my goodness.
Good questions in there.
Does 8-year-old tech count?
Ooh, 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh, my TV is 8 years old.
There we go.
Okay.
Televisions often last forever, although I wouldn't buy a 2 or 3-year-old television now because it's not going to have 4K HDR.
True.
But in a couple years, I might consider it. Maybe, depending on the source. The boys are still using the first generation 2010 iPads.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we're actually finally going to replace them because loading crash course videos off of YouTube now takes forever.
Whoa.
It's stately, but because they haven't used a lot of super fast, up-to-date tablets, they don't mind because they don't know any better.
That's very smart.
I'd hold up the tablet, but the boys are Minecrafting while we record this.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I buy refurbished tech. I buy used stuff off of Craigslist all the time. Laptops, refurbished, fine. Used, if it's somebody I know, I might consider it. But,
I'm definitely an early adopter myself, but things like things that just stay in my house, I'll describe it that way. Not laptops and not things that I travel with a lot. I usually just let them go until they die, and that includes monitors, TVs, home appliances. My Roomba just died after like 4 or 5 years of use, so things like that. I just let them keep on doing their thing.
Yeah, I mean, I come from the reduce, reuse, recycle. Use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. I was using an aged and beat up iPhone 6 until finally.
You were.
I was.
That's true.
Until, what was really killing me is the compass module finally burned out. And it was going to cost basically more I just didn't want to deal with tearing the phone apart to try to, it was just a mess. And I wanted to use my astronomy apps properly and my navigation apps properly.
Yes, that is very important.
So at that point I was like, okay, it's time to upgrade.
So to answer your question about the Qi charging, my Pixel 3 XL finally has Qi charging as well. So I am taking a personal interest in learning everything that I absolutely can about wireless charging because I like to learn all the things. So most devices support Qi, which is QI. It's pronounced Qi. It's supposed to be like, who are the people that sit there and they do their
Tai Chi?
Tai Chi, yeah, it's like that kind of stuff. I don't know.
I'll explain later.
But that's become the standard. Before you buy or use any wireless charger, just make sure that it supports your device, as not all devices are going to be Qi. They use, yes, exactly. They use inductive charging usually to charge your devices, and that is when they have coils inside that create this electromagnetic field around the charger and around the device, which allows the battery to charge wirelessly. If you have larger coils inside your device and the charger itself, that means that you can charge them from further away. Smaller ones must be almost right next to each other, and that's usually what you'll find you have to do with smart devices like smartwatches, phones, and tablets and things. You have to set it right on top of that charger. Pros to wireless charging: it frees up your port, which is wonderful, especially since most devices are going USB-C with no headphone jack. And it is more convenient because you don't have to hassle with a bunch of cables all the time. The cons, though, it's generally going to be slower, and wireless chargers are usually bigger and they limit mobility. It's unless you have a case, a wireless charging case, most likely you're not going to be walking around with a device that is a wireless charger unless you want to replace your battery, and there are some of those devices out there.
So the Starbucks in the neighborhood we used to work in actually had Qi chargers. I assume they were Qi chargers built in. Well, it was the same one, but you know what I mean? But it's also, I think, like, I'm not going to carry a giant wireless charger when I travel. I'm just going to grab my usual USB charger or my USB charger to connect to USB-C or micro USB or whatever else, Lightning or whatever it is.
So now on to your question, is it safe and can you use it? Especially for your smartwatch, given you were trying to use it with a phone charger. So to give you an example, iPhones do wireless charging at 7.5 watts, although according to Apple, it's higher this year for this year's phones. Android phones can do up to 15 watts for specifications. Samsung specs out at 9 watts, LG is at 10 watts, and the Pixel 3 is reportedly from Google at 10 watts as well. So that is great, but not all wireless chargers can also do 10 or 15 watts fast charging, and sometimes higher power wireless chargers don't come with a power adapter wall wart that can actually do 15 watts. So they might be rated at it, but their power adapter might not be. So you need to make sure that both your power adapter for the wall as well as the wireless charger are both going to give you the correct wattage. So yay, that's fun. Make sure it's coming with the correct one.
But that's also, I mean, that also applies. A friend of mine was like, they're like, my tablet charges slow at the office. And I'm like, you still have your old phone charger at the office, which is 1 amp, and your tablet wants all of the amps it can get access to.
All the amps, So unless you've got yourself a device that can do fast charging, save yourself some money if your device cannot do that fast of charging, and just buy a 5-watt wireless charger, unless you plan to future-proof, for example. If you put a 7.5-watt phone on a Qi charger that does 10 watts, it's only going to charge at 7.5 watts, and it's not going to overcharge. Qi chargers are made that way. They will not allow a device to get overcharged. It's automatically limited. So in that sense, it is safe. So you won't end up overpowering your device. It's not going to blow up. So yes, it is safe to use. Yes, exactly. It sips what it needs, and when it is all full, then it decides to stop. Chances are your smartwatch is rated at a lower wattage for Qi charging, and the charger that it came with is likely charging at a slower rate. Perhaps the manufacturer wanted to just save money.
Or they didn't have the higher wattage chargers at that point.
Yeah, that's totally possible. The Samsung one charges at a higher wattage, so your smartphone can charge and your smartwatch can charge at its max speed. As an aside, though, keep in mind any charging does degrade a battery over time. That includes wireless and that includes wired. So if you want to learn about wireless charging safety, there's a really great write-up that I found over on Computer World that describes all the different scenarios and all the different specifications that you should probably understand if you're going to be doing wireless charging. Is it bad to fully charge your smartphone? So they walk through how this happens and why your battery gets degraded over time. It's a pretty good read if you're interested in learning about that as well.
Well, I mean, it's funny because the problem with battery life is using batteries, but if you don't use your battery, it's problematic for battery life. And if you heat your battery up, which happens with almost all forms of fast charging, it may or may not, it probably will decrease your battery compared to slow charging, but is the benefits of fast charging more valuable to you than having an extra 6 months or a couple years out of your battery?
And then there's, if you keep your phone at 100% like constantly, how that degrades your battery over time. Yeah, there's a lot of weird little issues with batteries, but overall, overall, wireless charging is safe. It's not going to, you know, create cancer or anything like that if you're worried about your safety.
Yeah, you won't blow up your
smartwatch, yeah.
by putting it on the puck from your larger device.
Yeah, so you'll be fine. Let us know if you have any other questions about wireless charging, and if you want to know what the best universal wireless charger is, if you have a recommendation as well, you can send those over to me. I'm at Snubs on Twitter, or you can find us at TekThing on Twitter as well. We got an email from Mike, who emailed ask@tekthing.com. Love the show, been an avid watcher since Tekzilla. Thank you, Mike. I am looking for a printer recommendation, and Patrick uses a printer similar to what I was looking to purchase with some reservations. My current printer is a cheap Samsung Color laser printer, which is now about 8 or 10 years old. I print very low volume, and this was my primary purchase reason, to avoid inkjet costs in cheap printers. It is not printing good quality any longer, even with new toner cartridges. I was in a Sam's Club and saw the Brother MFP, don't remember the exact model, but it was about $125, which has the refillable bottles for very low consumable costs. My concern is, with my print volumes, would the ink clog up in the nozzles and ruin the printer over time? Is this a valid concern? Thanks from Mike.
Every inkjet printer I have owned ever, since forever, has had clogged inkjet heads if I didn't use it regularly.
Me too.
So I do, however, I love the EcoTank Super Tank printers. This is an Epson printer you're looking at right here, and these are the tanks. These are the big tanks on the side. You fill those up. Before that, I did a DIY kind of add-on tank, and that was amazing too because
I remember that one. That was cool.
Yeah, big refillable bulk ink tanks are amazing because we print a metric ton of pages out in our house because of the homeschooling thing we do. So going to bulk ink has saved us a huge amount of money, but in many cases, not so much with the Brother you're looking at, the upfront costs, they charge you in many cases more for the printer up front because they're not expecting to make as much money off of the ink cartridges over time. Most printer companies are giving away printers to sell ink cartridges.
Yeah.
So your 10-year-old printer is probably worn out, but you could try thoroughly cleaning it. If you dig through Samsung's website, because money and stuff, you will find information on printing quality problems. The drums are usually built in. I want to say the drums are built into the toner cartridges now, but they do say if it's got certain issues, they tell you how to clean the machine. There's not much you can clean. And I'd say in 8 or 10 years, even if you haven't used it that much, it's probably just beat to snot or the parts have worn out. To prevent inkjet clogging, which there it is. If you look down here, I don't know where, this is off of somewhere, I guess, Instructables, but right here are the little inkjet heads, or maybe this is where it connects to the inkjet heads. Oh. But I bring that up as there's essentially
what it looks like.
Little tiny, it spits. Inkjets spit the tiniest droplets you can imagine onto a page. I try to print at least one full color page or print head test every week with any inkjet printer at this stage of my life because I have had all types of inkjets. Cartridges with print heads integrated into them, bulk ink systems. All of them have had clogged nozzles if I didn't use them at least once a week. And if I clean them, like if I run a page, or at least like a good full color print at least once a week, or the printer test head page, then I find myself either A, not messing around with isopropyl alcohol to try to defuzz the heads, or in the case of for example, that Epson I have, at one point we hadn't used it for about 3 months, and one of the ink heads so I had to run the nozzle cleaning process like 37 times for it to clean.
I've been there.
And it's not so much that like,
it's a real pain.
Yeah, it doesn't use much ink, but it just takes forever.
Forever, so yes. It's just a grueling process.
You're buying cheap ink, just print something once a week. Just do a printer head test once a week to exercise those inkjet heads.
That's good to know, because mine definitely jams all the time.
Well, jamming's a totally different.
Clogs all the time.
The clogged heads it's a pain.
Yeah, it is.
It's a pain. So try printing once a week. If that doesn't solve it, let me know, and we will work on something more exciting. We will seal your printer in helium.
If you have printer problems,
I don't know why.
Let us know. We will be your customer support for your printers to an extent. Ask at TekThing.com. Yes, we will. We will try our hardest to answer those questions for you.
Technology, people, incidents are inevitable, and it all comes down to how your company responds. Your customers notice when things go wrong. Incidents require complex coordination between operations and software development teams who are the unsung heroes. They're the people that put out fires every day all across the world. Getting alerts immediately critical when an incident occurs. That's why there's Opsgenie by Atlassian. Here, Opsgenie empowers dev and ops teams to plan for service disruptions and stay in control during incidents. It gives teams the power to respond quickly and efficiently to unplanned issues. It helps to notify all the right people through a smart combination of scheduling and escalation paths that takes into account things like time zones and holidays, or maybe even vacations. Think about it. If Bob isn't there, then Alice gets a text message, and if Alice can't take care of it, it goes to Cheryl. You want things to happen fast and automatically and smoothly. We're talking deep flexibility in how, when, and where alerts are deployed, and it's supported by over 200 integrations like Jira, Amazon CloudWatch, Datadog, New Relic, and so many more. Tracks all the activity and provides useful insights to improve future incident responses. Sounds good? Think about it. Downtime kills your product's rep, especially when it's the kind of product nobody thinks about until it's not there. Are you an ISP? If it goes down on Saturday night or if things get slow, people freak out. I know I do. Even if it's only a few minutes when you're trying to watch the next show in that series and you're desperate, customers, they're impacted. That's going to cost businesses, your business, serious money. Crazy. In 1 year, downtime cost companies over $700 billion. Billion. A lot of cash. Downtime, so not what you want. With Opsgenie, your next incident doesn't stand a chance. Visit opsgenie.com to sign up to get a free company account and add up to 5 team members. That's opsgenie.com. Never miss a critical alert again with Opsgenie. Frank emails, hey TekThing, I'm a former Office and PC user who just joined a company who uses G Suite for everything on my shiny new MacBook Pro. What programs and/or tips or tricks do you recommend I should use as I get used to doing everything from a browser? Thanks, Frank.
Ooh.
Everything from a browser can really freak you out.
Yes, it can. And actually, Frank, this is perfect timing because one of the companies that I work with also recently switched to G Suite for like everything as well. So that was really fun trying to figure out all the things. So I should probably preface this by saying, what exactly is G Suite? Well, you can find out about it over at gsuite.google.com. And I quote, they say that it is an integrated suite of secure cloud-native collaboration and productivity apps powered by Google AI. Includes Gmail, Docs, Drive, Calendar, Meet, and more. So that's fun. So basically, as the website explains, it's a way for businesses to use all of the different applications, of which Google already makes plenty of those for free, so you probably use some of them already, into this integrated platform for companies. And this makes sure that companies are able to use existing tools that you're likely to already be using with better administrative control. So they can set it up so that you are forced to use two-factor authentication, or they can force it so you're only allowed to use it on your work laptop or something like that.
Or maybe they can lock you out when they fire your ass.
Yep.
Sorry, not you, Frank, but but you laugh, right?
But it's a thing. Yes, it's a thing.
Yeah.
You don't want somebody who leaves the company, even if Frank is in the position to hire and fire. You don't want somebody to leave the company on a really bad note and then go in and delete all of your documents, for example. So this allows them to be able to control all of those different things.
Or just
device management.
Things.
Yeah, they can do all that. And it's cheap too. It's $5 per month per user, which isn't much for a small business, and it's also tax deductible because it's a business thing. Chances are your company has already set up everything for their business G Suite accounts, so I'm not going to focus on setting it up, but I am going to focus on giving you some tips as a user. So hit up this website that I have pulled up. It's called G Suite's Learning Center. It's over at gsuite.com/learning-center/ and you don't have to worry about that exclamation mark at the end. But basically, this page has getting started guides explaining how to use G Suite on mobile and how to use it on Chrome via your PC. It has information on how to switch from Microsoft products to whatever other things you want to use. Yeah, switching from Microsoft. That's so wonderfully useful, especially since you used to use Microsoft. And a huge swathe of information via their tips library. Anything that you even remotely have a question about will likely be found via that page. So if I give you an example, I'm on their featured page right here, which has a lot of featured tips, but let's say I have a very specific question about Gmail. I could search the site up here, or I could just browse all the different options that I have to be able to use it. I could mute email conversations, respond to email faster with Smart Reply. That's a brand new feature. So they already have included a tip on how to use the new Smart Reply feature. So it's so useful. I love this website, and I have personally used it a lot.
Sorry, I thought you were saying Smart Reply is really useful. Like Smart Reply
is interesting if you're not a really fast typer, or if you're on your phone, you can just swipe, which is pretty cool.
I've had it suggest some sort of friendship and relationship ending responses in certain situations.
Yeah, that's got to be a little awkward. There's another really good website for tips. It's called gsuitetips.com. This one is not made by Google, but it has a whole bunch of tips also related on here. So this one has articles separated by tool, which is similar to the last one that I saw. So let's pull up calendar, for example. That was an awkward face that girl is making. Did you see that? That's so weird. So keyboard shortcuts, those would be one of my favorites. So I could browse around here and look for keyboard shortcuts for this. One of the ones that I found in here is how to use keyboard shortcuts while I'm in Drive. So this explains all the different keyboard shortcuts you can use. That's one of my favorite tips for this. Another great one is being able to use keyboard shortcuts in Gmail. This makes working in Gmail so much faster. So it's way useful if you have a bunch of like coupons and you just want to run through those real quick and delete them all, or if you use a feedback email for viewers to write in, so you can easily go through each of the feedback emails and find ones that you want to answer on the show.
I am incapable of not staring at keyboard shortcuts. I'm like, more.
I know, I'm a nerd for keyboard shortcuts. A calendar can get really annoying with pop-up notification. So there's this really handy way to disable that.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah, G Suite Tips has a disable desktop pop-up calendar notifications little walkthrough. So it shows you where to find that.
You might get like 30 of these a day.
Yes, you can, and yes, I have. I have also had a digital personal assistant email my daily schedule to me every morning, and I set that up through Google Calendar as well. And
so
they
that's
have
a feature,
little,
not a bug.
That is a feature. It's a wonderful feature. So I get a nice little personal assistant email every morning that says, this is your calendar of events for the day. That's another wonderful one that I use all the time. If you want to track revisions to documents, I use this thing. It's called Revision History, and this is available through Google Drive. I use these features pretty often to see what kind of revisions have been made to like show notes, for example, and see where we made those revisions. And if something was edited that I need to change, I can revert back to a previous revision. And that's one of the most useful options I have found for like writing stuff.
Is it different from the one in Docs, or it just happens to be buried inside of G Suite?
It's the same one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. I also use comments pretty often as a not so intrusive way to collaborate without, editing other people's work. Like me and you, we use comments in our show notes all the time. Like I put a little comment in the show notes for our editor Colleen sometimes. Hi Colleen, so that she knows what she needs to edit with just a simple little comment, and then she can submit it as done or finished, which is so useful. And they have a nice little walkthrough of how to use that as well. So I think that both of these sites will save you so much time and so much Googling, because they are all just available right there. And I'm totally sure that you are going to find some specific tips that work best for you depending on the job. There are some apps that I have never even opened in Google G Suite because I never need them. But you might get tons of use out of it depending on what your job criteria is. So tinker around, memorize your favorite tips, and use them. Use them till your heart's content, because they are all free to use with your employer's account on G Suite. You will probably be able to write back in a few weeks with some pro tips that I've never even used. So if you use G Suite tools currently, this is for everybody out there, comment below with your favorite tips for Frank as well, because I'm sure he'll be able to get a lot of use out of it, since everybody uses all of these different suites of tools in a different way. My tips are going to be completely different from everybody else, so I'm sure some people out there can give you some good recommendations.
And there's a lot of you out there.
There are a lot of you. Comment below, let them know what you think, and let them know your favorite tips. And if you also want to write in with some other tips, you can email us, ask@tekthing.com as usual.
Please do. You already know from earlier this episode that I am a cruel parent that has his children using 8-year-old iPads. It gets worse, or better. So my oldest child, who's been denied a phone, unlike all of his peers at the dance school he goes to, everyone has a phone but my son, or did.
Really?
Well, so what happened, yeah, it's actually kind of crazy. Some of these
Wow.
children are very young, and in any case, different parents, different rules, different households. I'm sure it's not all of them, but of course,
So weird.
when your child comes to you, everyone, no, son. No. In any case, my son's closest friend moved. It was time to get him the ability to text to his friend because his friend didn't do email, but his friends texted. And then I had visions of my son Minecrafting or playing Alto's Adventure until 4 a.m. and I got a little uptight about the whole smartphone thing. One midnight run to Target later, meet his new Nokia 3310. First up, I think everyone should learn how to text using T9 just to keep text short. The 2-megapixel camera sucks. Data is 2G only, so it's slow, but there's really nothing to load data for on this, so it's not a problem. And I also don't have to worry about giant data charges on Ting. So, yeah, it's hysterical. It really...
I'm just...
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, I'm taken back to 2003
Or earlier.
or earlier.
Yeah, it's
What?
So it's $60.
That's
right?
amazing.
It's $60, and it might be the perfect phone to take to places you don't want to take your $1,000 flagship. For example, if you're into sort of fun runs or certain types of hiking, or you go to the beach and you don't want to tear your phone apart on the beach, it's pretty slick because it's cheap. You're not going to care if you destroy it. You'll probably need a micro SIM card adapter if you're using this as a beater phone and you want to use the same number, because chances are your current phone probably uses a nano-sized SIM, but micro SIM adapters are cheaper, hence why they're in the $60 phone. The battery is user replaceable.
Really?
Remember user replaceable
Wow,
batteries?
cool.
That also means you can pull it if you need to, or if you want to make sure that the phone is not working, something that's kind of difficult to do with most modern phones. And with my son's light phoning and texting, well, actually I should say his ever-increasing text messaging, it's been funny to watch him go from like 2 messages to like I got 6 yesterday, and lots of random questions. That said, because there's not a whole lot going on with this phone other than texting and calling, he actually got 2 days without charging.
Oh, wow.
Remember 2 or 3 days without charging?
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, man, those were the days.
Those were the days. There's a micro USB adapter in the box, along with some profoundly awful earbuds. Seriously, it's $60. He's stupid happy with it, and we can now call or text him when he's on his way to or from classes, or they're out and about. We let my children, I have free-range children.
Free-range children.
What's really funny is when somebody calls the cops on your free-range children, but that's a story. Because
I remember that
walking,
story.
Walking without adults.
Yep.
In any case, he can now maintain his friendship, which was the important thing.
That's good.
And T9 typing for texting is not nearly as bad as I remember. I was laughing because I was like, it comes back.
I remember I was really good at T9 texting.
You were the person who was talking to someone and texting. Yeah.
I would have to though. I'd have to be that good to be able to do things while I was like working at Domino's Pizza, and I didn't want my boss to know that I was texting underneath the counter, even though I wasn't supposed to be. That was a thing.
It was a thing.
Sorry, boss.
I do want to point out the Amazon reviews on this. Some of them are really harsh. But also I've noticed a lot of the harsh reviews, because it's one of those...
What, were they like, I can't browse Twitter on this?
Well,
or something?
it's 33% 5-star, 18% 4-star, but 22% 1-star, which is a little high. Actually, a lot of the people are ticked. This isn't the dual SIM version that most places got in the international versions, or that they didn't get the color they wanted. But heads up, there's 204 customer reviews and 257 answered questions. So if you're thinking, I don't know if I want to spend $60 on this phone, ton of Q&A on there that you can look at.
Cool.
$60.
Yeah, that's
I'm
amazing.
getting text messages from my son. I'm torn between like, this is great. He's communicating
it's kind of
with
awesome.
me.
And I think it would also be amazing for folks that are limited on mobility, or older generations who might not be interested in having a smartphone.
Jitterbug phones.
Yes, yes. This
Those
is
are
very
so
cool.
cool.
There's somebody in my family who does not want a smartphone. He has no use for one, but this would be great so that I could just keep in contact with him for emergencies.
Yeah, my wife as it was like, I want that and a camera. And I'm like, but you can't open web pages on this or read books. And she's like, I might not want that.
Good point.
My goodness. We should take a moment to thank our friends over at Hack5. Ladies and gentlemen, hack5.org. Hack5 makes it possible for us to bring the show to you by providing the studio space. Check out the Security and Privacy Podcast at hack5.org. Then click right over here where it says products. Look at the shiny products, people. Superior pen testing and USB automation tools. Go to hack5.org.
And remember, once in a while, put down your phone, step away from the screen, close your laptop, and do something analog.
Like interpretive dance.
Like interpretive dance.
I just like saying interpretive dance.
We actually got a tweet this week.
This is awesome.
Yes, this is awesome. This is from C Jammer, or Roger, over on Twitter. He said, @Snubs, @Patrick Norton, sometimes you have to do something analog. Almost 40 years in computing arena. And these photos are incredible.
That's
Here,
a
I'll
big
show
welding
ya.
torch.
Yeah.
That's a couple of locking C-clamps.
Wow.
And that looks like a freshly built welding table.
I think it is.
Nicely done.
That is so very cool. Yes. Thank you, C Jammer, for sharing this photo with you. And of course, if anybody else out there is doing something analog this week, send them over to us. You can tweet @Snubs, @Patrick Norton, or you can email us, ask@tekthing.com.
Or tweet at TekThing.
Or tweet @tekthing. Yes, that's true.
Send us messages. We're
Send us
waiting
all
for
the
you.
messages.
We are. Ask@tekthing.com. I'm Patrick Jordan.
I'm Shannon Morse.
We'll see you next week on TekThing. First phone.
First phone.
First cell phone.
It was an LG flip phone, and it can play Snake on it. It was awesome. I loved
James's
it.
phone can play Snake.
I remember. This was at the time when if somebody stole your phone, because somebody stole the phone out of my car when I was working at Domino's Pizza. I know who it was too. Man, girls, so catty in high school. She stole my phone. I couldn't get it back, so I was just like, okay, well, I was delivering pizzas that night, and I made enough tips that I went over to the Singular store at the time. I bought a new phone with my tips in cash. It was great. And that was also the time when they didn't need ID or anything. They were just like, oh, you want a phone in cash? Okay. It was great. Yeah. Man, those were the days. And then I came back to work and I was like, oh, I actually was good for an upgrade on my plan. So I got a new phone and it's color. This one is color.
Oh, that's funny.